the trade is just the cherry on top. Like,
But
oh
look,
my god,
you know what doesn't look good on the Panther side? They can say, everyone can say, hey, Bryce Young looks terrible. He's the issue. He's lost confidence, whatever. Let's just talk about Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold having resurgences who
that's
they had both.
terrific, terrific. I think we should just lump them together.
Let's
Perfect.
go.
I'm sorry, I'm
Yeah.
making a note.
No. Let's go to
Go to Baker. I think
Okay. Let's
go to
Baker.
Baker. Go to
Let's go
Baker.
to Baker.
They cut this fucking guy. They gave him like 3 games, 3 or 4. He didn't look that great. They have him playing scout team defensive line. Like, what the hell? I get it wasn't really like that big of a deal, but like it's still stupid. Baker signs a 1-year deal. He signs like a 1-game deal with the Rams. Looks okay. Goes to the Bucks, and I mean, I just commend the kid. And this is why I've talked about this, and I know it's not really on topic, but it's like I think the Browns needed Baker. Like, I think we should maybe think about, hey, if you redraft that, you take Josh Allen with the Browns, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, because Baker has this fucking thing about him. Josh Allen has it too, but you almost wonder, man, does Baker's just overwhelming like gusto and just who he is like he didn't fail with the Browns. I know we want to say he failed, but like think about what happens to Browns first round quarterbacks and look at Baker. How many of those guys won? They drafted in the first, even had a touch of success. None of them.
They won their first playoff game against Pittsburgh, bro. Like he did something. Look, I think to chop it all up, it came down to 2 things. Number 1, he was hurt. I think it's obvious.
Correct.
He was hurt.
Correct.
And I think that was a major problem.
The talent, a lot of talent. You like the way he like we kind of talk about like the arm strength is real, bro. He's got a cannon. And then he can move around, and he's just got this thing about him. He's accurate now, and he's playing confident.
Yeah.
That's the big
but
thing,
but
right?
it's
He's
hard.
Confident.
It's hard to be that guy though, Max. The personality that he is, the brashness, the confidence when you're losing. It doesn't work.
Correct.
You look like an asshole.
It is very tough. Correct. And again, Baker Mayfield, in my opinion, isn't the type of guy you give the worst roster to the NFL and say, get us there. He's not that.
Yeah.
He's not.
Yeah.
But the one cool thing about him is, like, to me, the one thing I say about Bryce Young, like we said, is like he lost confidence, right? Baker be like, I'm fucking fine. I'm fucking good. Like, we'll just gun this. Yeah. I can gun it in there again.
Yeah.
That's the one cool thing about him.
It's the best.
It's cool to see.
It's the best thing that could have happened to him. You talk about a guy like Geno Smith. Like, all this shit that happened before the Seattle shit had to happen to him because he learned. It humbled his ass. He was like, you know what?
Yeah, and it's not fair to, he was obviously a bad draft pick by the Jets, Geno Smith, right?
Yes.
Wasn't a bad draft pick.
100%.
Didn't work out. That doesn't mean he's a bad player. There's plenty of players who get drafted, don't do that great with their first team, and then pop off into the scene. Baker Mayfield. He did good with Cleveland. He's doing phenomenal with Tampa.
Yeah.
He's been great. Sam Darnold. Let's talk about him now.
Yeah.
The third or fourth pick, maybe? Fifth?
Fourth, third, something like that.
Was a night. He was horrible on the Jets. Were horrible to him. He lost his confidence, got mono. Weird shit happened. Kind of was like, went to Carolina. And you're like, Pete, every year you heard Sam Darnold might be something this year. We talked about it last year with Brock Purdy being out. Like, Sam Darnold could run this offense. It won't look that bad. And look at him now. He's obviously not going to win MVP. I don't think that's. I don't think he will. I don't think he will. But he's playing at a really high level, and a level me and you probably never thought he'd reach. And again, it takes guys to figure it out. And I think we just throw so many. Like, not everyone's CJ Stroud, right? Not everyone's Andrew Luck. Some guys need a couple years, and I think obviously O'Connell is just a terrific coach, right? Got weapons all over the place. He is just really figuring it out.
To me,
it's a good system. He's confident.
I wanna give all the credit to Sam Darnold, and I do. He's worked his ass off. Like, kind of.
You loved him.
I loved him. I love Sam
I would have
Darnold,
taken him
bro.
first.
Yes,
you said it.
I was a big fan of Sam Darnold coming out of USC. But look, if I had to be honest with myself, I do think this is like 70% O'Connell and 30% Darnold. Okay. I think O'Connell does an amazing job. A lot of people forget. Do you remember Joshua Dobbs mania? Like almost like a quarter of the season last year with the Vikings.
Yeah,
Like he won like
he's
4
really
straight
good.
games with Joshua Dobbs, who's not even a starting quarterback right now. Like this is
Mhm.
what O'Connell does. He's an amazing play caller. He's an amazing designer. And what he's doing with Sam Darnold just proves it even more. I'm going to give the
And
credit to O'Connell, bro.
I will add a little footnote. They were gonna rule the Niners. They were gonna fucking flood them. And they had a fumble on like the 1 yard line. The Niners score right after, and they threw a pick in the red zone. They were moving the ball up and down the field on the Niners, who are no slouches. And really quick, just shout out to Brian Flores. Shout out to Minnesota in general. I think Flores is doing a great job, but I think it's an awesome little segue. We went from Bryce Young, who struggled in Carolina, and I know I talked a lot of crap, but I said, hey, it wouldn't surprise me in a few years if he was kind of figuring it out and was like a middle of the road quarterback.
I wouldn't. You got to throw it in. It has to be. It has to be something that you can't count out. We've seen so many guys do it already.
I said to my group chat, I said they drafted. The problem with Carolina did was, to me, and again, I'm not trying to shit on Bryce Young. They drafted Brock Purdy with the first pick and gave him nothing. and what I mean by Brock Purdy is I think he's more talented maybe than Brock Purdy. Like, but if you put Bryce Young on the Niners right now, I think he would be a way different quarterback. We look at him in a way different light because he'd be protected. He'd have confidence. And I mean, I don't know if that's controversial to say. I think that a lot of quarterbacks, you can put them on with the greatest offensive coach with a ton of weapons. They'll look good. Obviously,
a lot of people would love to think like, hey, it's all about the talent. It's all about how you are as a player. But let's be real. Your environment is a very, very big factor, bro. Like if you look at Geno Smith, some of the places that he stopped at, some of the guys that he was with, Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning, learning from guys like that. You look at Sam Darnold
Russell Wilson, right?
Going to Sam Darnold. He spent a whole year in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan in that whole 49er operation. They made it to the Super Bowl, you know? So like it takes even with Baker went with Sean McVay. Yeah, like
McVay,
you learn how to win, you learn how shit is supposed to do. Like how it's supposed to be done. How do you win? How do you game plan? Like what's some real high level NFL shit? And that's what Bryce Young probably needs because in Carolina, he's obviously not getting it. It's a fucking disaster.
Correct. And again, there's some quarterbacks like I want to talk about. Like I think I said it. I might repeat myself. I'm sorry. Herbert, Lawrence, other guys. It's kind of like, bro, they're so freaking talented. They can kind of get away when it's all shitty, right? And there's very few guys in this league who can do that. There's very few. There's maybe 5. There's 5 quarterbacks where it's like it doesn't really matter. They'll figure it out. And that's why those guys don't bust, even when they're in the horrible situations. But for a guy that kind of needs a little help, who doesn't have the crazy size, the athleticism, the big arm, the accuracy, you're going to bust sometimes. And that's what I think that's what kind of doomed Bryce Young. It was kind of a overrated player, obviously, to a bad situation. And I think it's very telling how guys like Sam Darnold, Baker kind of held on. And I think Bryce Young's going to have to follow that path if he wants to succeed. Because obviously, I think benching him was just it's really telling how they respond. If they get fucking rolled, it's going to be like the locker room. Like you can kind of tell locker rooms like, what is this bullshit? If they win, it's going to be like, oh man, they like really have belief in Dalton.
Yeah.
Big dreams, everything ain't what it seems. Glittering gold both ways. Not on my team. This organic, we don't